succeed the 5 governors in the Nyanza region takes shape. This is about the succession battles for the 5 governors in the Nyanza region who will be completing their 2 terms. Some of the names that have been, floated around, Kisii, for example, Dagoretti MP Simbarati, like Dismus was saying, has declared interest, as well as the Kitutu Chache South MP, Richard Onyonka, I believe Josh Mangi as well. In Homa Bay, Chairman of ODM, John Badi, and of course, Woman Representative Gladys Wanga also likely to declare interest to succeed Cyprian Awiti. In Migori, Anne Anyanga is said to be, I believe, is married to former Nyatike MP Omondi Anyanga, and he has said that should not be her political capital. That is, it's chauvinistic to use that to fight her. Ochilo Ayako also did try in the last election and successfully. In Siaya, Opio Ondai, the MP for Gunja, is said to be interested, as well as William Oduol, very popular in 2013. Very quickly, gentlemen, Dismus, what is your take on these succession battles?
Well, maybe as we discuss those things, let me just buttress what my panelists are saying. I think politicians in Kenya have got 2 kinds of political formations. They've got strongholds and they've got colonies. Using the example of the enigma Raila Odinga,
right.
If you go to the coast, you may say Raila Odinga, that the coast is a stronghold for Raila Odinga, that he can actually go speak to people about the issues of land, and they get emotional, they think he's going to give them title deeds. But when you go to Nyanza province, it's really a colony. Because if you do not follow his instructions, you are going to bleed to political death. Look at James Orengo, look at Anyang' Nyong'o, look at Raphael Tuju and Shemo Chuodo. Because what he has managed to do is to beat those people into submission. That his word is law. For instance, when Raila Odinga went to Arambe House and had an handshake with President Kenyatta, majority of the members of the law community, including members of the Senate and National Assembly, were so disappointed, but they would not come to the public space and voice their issues. Why? You go against Raila in Nyanza, you go back to the village, you're going to receive a beating. That's the reason you cannot have a Jubilee member of the National Assembly or Senate in Nyanza, not one. The same can be said in Rift Valley, the same can be said in Central. For instance, is an ODM MP, say from Kiambu or from Nyeri or from Murang'a? I mean, are you suggesting that those people are not so liberal to have a divergent view? So in my view, it's beating people to submission. However, a rebellion is beginning to crop in Nyanza. There's a fella in Kisumu who's been on hunger strike. I hope he's given up. And he's saying, where is Miguna? And, you know, there was a demonstration a few days ago where people in Kondele, for the first time, who always, their protests are in favor of Raila Odinga. This time they were saying, no Miguna, no Raila. So people, the Kano people in Kisumu are beginning to ask questions that for how long are we going to be suffocated by our political leadership? One hopes then they'll have the guts to go to the next level at the ballot box.
All right.
Now going to people from, this is my county, this is my home in Kisii. And it's very disappointing that these fellas, hardly 1 year, they're discussing succession instead of addressing the core issues. You know, politics must happen every single day, but one would have expected for them to be discussing development-based politics,
right.
issue-based politics. Like, for instance, the Governor Ngoi wants to come up with a sugar factory. Maybe they should be addressing that issue. Do you need a sugar factory in Kisii or not? But now you have my friend, Honorable Onyonka, Honorable Simbarati. They're beginning to think about 5 years. Who is going to occupy the governor's mansion, as if that's a priority. Right
Too
now,
early.
the priority is not who is going to sit at the governor's mansion. The priority is, does that Kisii Referral Hospital have drugs for cancer? Are those roads working? Are people able to engage in commerce 24 hours? And I must ask
people
at
like
this stage...
Simbarati and Onyonka will tell you that's not their work. Their work is to campaign and get
but you see, they are leaders. They are leaders, and one assumes that when you get elected to public office, you'll take a few days, use a bit of your allowances, go and have a retreat to yourself and ask yourself, what are you going to offer the people who have elected you into office? All these people are not elected into office as soon as they are sworn in at the National Assembly to start saying who is going to be governor in 2022. Right now, they're attending funerals. Instead of telling people at funerals how to arrest poverty and corruption in the villages, instead of them shining light on the corruption allegations at Nyamira in Kisumu, They're discussing 2022, and I think this is unacceptable.
All right.
And it's time for President Kenyatta, his deputy, and Raila Odinga, I don't know whether or not he's in NASA, to tell these people that it's time for you to focus on development-issued politics. This time of succession, I mean, a few days ago, the deputy president told folks in Jubilee, stop discussing succession politics. Then a few days later, his MPs are in charge in Mombasa, in Kisii, in Nairobi, they're discussing succession politics. When are we going to use this time to start saying, this Eurobond, was there resources lost, interest rates capping? How are we going to do this? The president has come up with a big four agenda. There's no MP from Jubilee.
Full-time campaign mode,
yeah,
that's what you're saying.
There's no MP from Jubilee who in charge today is going to discuss that big four agenda. Nobody's going to discuss food security. Nobody's even going to discuss whether or not the doctors from Cuba are necessary in Kenya. What are they going to do? Sonko will tell people, stop having nocturnal meetings. Another fellow will say, we don't trust Raila Odinga. When are we going to get out of poverty?
All right. Mark, what is your take on this succession happening in Nyanza across the board, nationally as well?
The creature known as a politician exists to hunt the vote. Make no mistake, every decision they make, even in parliament, is targeted at winning the vote. The truth of the matter is, even in the United States today, Trump's team is looking into his re-election plan. This is the nature of politics. You cannot begin a venture without thinking about the next step. The difference with Kenyan politics is that our next step is identified by individuals instead of identified by success. What the Trump organization would be doing now is they'll be talking about, like he often does, how bigly, the rest of us would say greatly, he's changed the country. He's talking about how his walls are now in prototypes. He's talking about how he's changed the tax code. That is the difference. All of that is campaigning. When he comes out and says no one has ever been tougher on Russia, he is campaigning. That is what politicians exist for.
Right.
The problem with our country is we campaign for the sake of campaigning. Our politics has no basis. So if Simba Arati wants to be a governor in Kisii or Nyamira, wherever it is he wants to be, he must be able to identify what he is doing for the people of Nairobi. What changes has he brought? What is he bringing onto the table? The same thing with the deputy president, the same thing with even someone who wants to run for MP.
Right.
We must begin to identify with progress and steps instead of individuals. I am now famous, let me run for office. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Thank you. A lot to look forward for in the next 4 years as succession politics and service delivery to the people. The debate continues. Let's leave it there. On the newspapers this morning, a lot of stories, a lot of reviews on the Sunday Standard. Be sure to grab your copy. Let's take a quick break here on Sunday edition. When we return, we'll take a look at the issue of contempt of court and court orders, seeming political or supremacy battles between the executive and the judiciary. Go too far.